Thank you. I love synchronicity. I love the way things just work because we didn't talk, we didn't do anything. One of my favorite songs. And I remember I was like 17 in like 1971, so I'm kind of dating myself, and I wasn't church, but I went with a group from some friends of mine and a girlfriend from church and saw the original touring production of Godspell at the Goodman Theater in Chicago, and I have no idea what this play is, and I have no idea what's going on, and this guy walks down from the third balcony on a ramp all the way down to the stage singing the opening of Prepare Ye the Way of the Lord, and I've been in love with that play for, what is that, 50 years now? God, so, and it's a beautiful song and very, very synchronistic with what's going on here, so. As I said, I'm Reverend Ray Nelson. I'm the senior minister downtown at Unity of Louisville. And one of my visions when I first got to Louisville was I talked to the staff, talked to the board, talked to the congregation, said, my vision is to truly embrace the idea that there is unity in unity. And how can unity, the churches and the people, begin to work collaboratively together to really reach our message out to all those people who really are looking for that. And so I'm so glad that, not necessarily glad that you're going through a transition. Transitions can be difficult, but I'm certainly glad that we're able to reach out and be part of this transition with you. So I know, first off, if it gets a little weird, I tend to speak with my hands, so if my microphone hand, it just, yeah, you'll lose me a little bit, but that's okay. We're spiritual beings, and you guys all know this. Every one of you knows this. You've been here for a long time. You guys know this to the core of your being. You are spiritual beings having a human experience. That you were created in the image and likeness of God. Very first teaching in the Bible, our second principle, you are creation of God. You are like, I love this, you are like the wave in the ocean. There is nothing that God is that you are not, and it is indistinguishable between you and that presence of God within you. Now, no one will confuse you with the full mystery of the experience of God, but all that is in God is in you. We know this. We know this to the core of the being. You know it the first time you walked in the door and you never even heard the words. That the question then is, why the heck don't we act like it? Why the heck in every thought, every word, every action are we not expressing the fullness of our God potential? I was just in the hospital for some surgery, and I was talking with the nurse. And if you've ever been to Audubon Hospital, it's like going to a third world hospital. They're in the middle of construction, so there's plastic over walls, there's construction, there's jackhammers going, there's dust, and that affects the staff. They tend to, their energy tends to be a little bit more tense. So I put on for myself, my own good, I have a Pandora app, and I put on my Reiki meditation music. And these nurses would come charging in, and they'd listen to the music, and they'd all start hanging out in my room and getting all nice and comfortable. And then they'd ask me questions, and one was asking, so I don't get this unity. And I said, so think of it this way. She said, well, do you believe in Jesus Christ? And I said, of course I do. Jesus was a man who walked the earth 2,000 years ago that we're journeying towards a celebration of his resurrection. I said, so think of it this way. We look at Jesus as being our way-shower, elder brother. All that he was, we can be. But think of it this way. And she's like, I don't get it. And I said, if Jesus was 100% fully actualized, understanding his divinity, we're about 0.10. I get it once in a while. I have a glimpse. I have a glimpse through that veil that covers our eyes, that stands between me and who I know I am. This will be difficult. Trying to hold a book, talk with a microphone, so. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when perfection comes, the imperfect will disappear. When I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put away childish things. Now we see a poor reflection in the mirror. Then we will see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall be fully known. Then I will fully know as I am fully known. We are only see in part because we have a veil in front of us. That veil is our ego. That veil is our stories. That veil is the things that we make up that stand as a barrier. We have, our 12 power says, we have all the divine wisdom of spirit. We have the divine knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding, the discernment. And yet, everything that comes to me is coming through my filters. Coming through the filters of my experience of the world. It comes through and I create a story. And the interesting thing is, your story is based in fact. But it's only partly true. You pick and choose out of the world what you choose, what you can see until you wake up. Anybody want to hear the word fake news? It's not so much fake news, is what do we choose to focus on? What is our mind allowing in? I read there's something like 6 billion bits of information come into the human experience daily. The mind is a filter, and that filter tells us what we can see and what we can't see. I was doing Course in Miracles still do Course in Miracles for a number of years, and every year I would color the things that meant something to me, really stood out with a highlighter, but I would change the color each year. And the next year I'd go, when did they put this in the book? Because that wasn't there last year, because otherwise I could have seen it, but I couldn't see it because I wasn't ready to see it. We experience the world we expect to see. We experience the world that our story makes up. And yet, we can seek a deeper reality. Everybody know who Daniel Nahmod is? Daniel Nahmod's my favorite. So he's got a great song called I'm Raising the Veil. I'm raising the veil between me and my God. I want to know you. I want to see you. I want to hear you. I want to love you. I set an intention that what my goal is to every day, in any way that I can, to get a deeper understanding of the truth of who I am. To know God so that I can know myself. To see God so that I can see myself. To hear God so that I can hear myself. And to love God so that I can love myself. And in the process, I will hear you, see you, know you, and love you more. Because I will let go of the story I've made up about you and only see you for who you are. Anybody ever hear the phrase, dress for success because there's only one chance to make a first impression? So what's that first impression is you walk in and a person seeing you has already made up a story about you based on what you're dressed like, how you behave. My wife won't let me out of the home if my shirt, my tie, and my shoes don't match, which is pretty good because oftentimes they don't. I have to today I took the pants in, I said, gray or brown? I don't know if I'm colorblind or just stupid, but one of the two. But we do that. We were watching The Voice last night on demand, first episode. And the girl was an overweight girl, and she was 19 years old, and said, I have always been judged for how I look. I am so excited to perform because their backs. They can't judge me for how I look. They can't judge me because of my weight. They can't judge me because of anything other than my voice. So recognition, I smiled and cried at the same time, knowing that we do that each and every day. I'm in AA, and one of our guys from AA came in to church last Sunday. And I was talking to him later, and he said, it's the first time I have ever gone into a church and not felt judged. I wanted to say you were judged, you just weren't judged heartily, but I let him have his experience. He said, it's the first time not only was I not judged, people approached me, welcomed me, hugged me, and told me they were so happy I was there. I saw a man who's only got 6 months of sobriety beaming because we had taken a step outside of that story of who they are and saw him for the potential of who he could be, saw the truth in him. We create the world we see, and we're living in through the power of our thoughts. Eric Butterworth says, the world doesn't happen to us. The world happens through us. Things happen. The thing I like about Unity is we're not so much a past-driven denomination like, well, how did I get here? What did I do to create that? Because I know I've created, we are, this is it. This is what's happening. How do I react? How do I live my life no matter what the circumstances and conditions are? The reality is not fixed. The reality of life is a result of how you decide to perceive that reality. Unity's third principle actually teaches this, that external reality we experience with our not five senses is not fixed, but rather the result of our thoughts and feelings we hold. Then the question comes back to what I asked in the first time. Why aren't we acting like it? Why aren't we living our lives fully? So the question then becomes, what are you thinking? What thoughts are you holding? Are you conscious of them? Are you awake to them? We're all going to do that. But if I wake up to them, I can make a different choice. Or are your thoughts, are your behaviors, are the way you participate in life merely running on automatic pilot and habitual? It's not a condemnation because we all do it. I spent most of my life running around. Robert Brummett, one of my favorite teachers, said, we just walk around being sleepwalking. And occasionally we wake up and go, oh. You ever have one of those moments? Oh, man, I'm awake. And then immediately you fall back asleep and you're just kind of stumbling through life. How we perceive on the world is based on our thoughts, our beliefs, our values, our habits, our subconscious, our past, and it's our story. And our stories can either uplift us and others, because we always are in a story. We always are creating a narrative about what this all means. We're meaning-making machines. I don't know who the first one who said it is, but the old saying is, life is meaningless, meaning it doesn't have a fixed meaning. And human beings are meaning-making machines. We will make a meaning up about everything. I'm teaching a class and I'm joking with it, and we were doing something, and I started metaphysically interpreting something that was going on the technology about see what that means, because my mind wasn't working. I had to shut my computer down and reconnect, and I said, isn't that the way life is? Sometimes you have to disconnect, and they're all like, sitting there all rapt, listening to me. I'm like, I'm just making this stuff up, come on, it's just a story. I just made it up to make me feel good. So our stories can bring us peace of mind, can uplift us, can uplift others, can see the divinity expressing through everybody, can have us elevating beyond circumstances, or it can bring us endless pain and drama. I'm a dialysis patient. I have NK kidney disease. I've been on it for 3.5 years. And we don't have to buy into other people's story. I had a Unity minister come up to me and says, I know you must be suffering, and I'm just holding you in prayer. And I said, I don't suffer. There's no suffering in me. I'm a dialysis patient. I just do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm good. She goes, yeah, I know. Yeah, that suffering's got to really be hard on you. Like, okay, so I'm really glad you're holding me in prayer, because she could not hear. In fact, it's interesting. I had to go in to see some doctors, and I had to see a social worker, and he said, last time you were in 3 years ago, and, how are you doing with your depression? I said, I don't have depression. He goes, it says right here you suffer from depression. I said, no, my wife said the only thing depressing about me is how little I will get depressed. And I said, the interesting thing there for me was she deals with so many people who are sick. In her mind, she couldn't see beyond that. She couldn't hear that I don't have depression. It didn't enter into her mind, so she could only hear what she could hear. Not a bad thing. It's just the way it was. So we can raise the veil between me and my God. We can raise that veil by training our mind through discipline and practice, by radical self-awareness, to become aware of what our thoughts are each moment, to become aware of what our story is, and then notice when it's not bringing more peace into the world, not bringing me peace. And then the key is to notice and then don't judge it when you're falling short, because that ego is very subtle. Oh my God, I'm doing it again, and I call it the divine Velcro moment. Oh my God, I'm doing it again. Oh, I'm such a bad minister. We can make up stories about everything. So just notice, and if you're noticing the story you have or the way you are being is not uplifting and fully aligning, then just stop it and make a different choice. There's not a lot of guys in here, but it's a kind of a guy thing is we make a choice and then we dig our heels in, and we will fight to the death to make sure we can defend that choice instead of going, wow, that was not a good choice. I think I'll choose again. Oh, but that would make me wrong, and then I'd have to judge myself again. On and on. Life does not determine you. The facts don't determine who you are. But when we're conscious and we wake up, we can determine who we are in relationship to what's going on. And the interesting thing is the story is always partially true. I learned a style of counseling called narrative counseling, which is to listen for the story. So I'm going to give you 2 examples. One was the teacher had been dealing with somebody with depression, and they came in, they went, oh, I'm so depressed. You ever been around somebody like that? It just sucks the oxygen out of the room. I'm so depressed. I'm so depressed, I can't get out of bed in the morning. And the person listened with a compassionate heart, which we always would, and then said, yeah, that's got to hurt. So tell me about the person who in that depression got out of bed, got in the car, drove here, and made their appointment. Tell me about that person, what it took to go through that darkness to get here. And by the end of the session, the person wasn't focused on, I'm so depressed I can't get out of bed. The person was focused on, I can make choices that can drive me to a different way. I don't know if it was Wayne Dyer, but the story is that it was Wayne Dyer, and if it's not, it's probably somebody else, and if not, we don't let facts get in the way of a good story. So Wayne Dyer, when he used to go out speaking on special speaking engagements, he would go into a hotel, and his express instructions to the front desk is, I'm incognito, I don't want my name listed, my room is not listed, and I want no phone calls. I need to spend the time in prayer, meditation, and to be completely focused on what I'm going to be doing. Later on that night, he gets a phone call. He could have made a story up about that, but takes the phone call, and it's one of his clients. And she's beside herself. I'm so distraught, I'm thinking of committing suicide. He says, stop. I don't want to hear from that person. I want to hear the person who is so powerful, so committed, that you were able to get through the front desk that had express instructions not to let these phone calls in to talk to me. That's who I want to talk to. And both of those people were real. Both of those people were true to an extent. The one person was distressed. She was suicidal. But she was also so committed and so powerful that she was able to take actions that most of us wouldn't even have conceived of. When we're willing to change our story, we have to look for different facts. I'm thinking of failure. Anybody ever fail at anything? Yeah, who hasn't? So when I went to Unity of Louisville, I said that one of the things they asked me in the tryout, they asked me about failure. And I said, one of my commitments is we will try stuff. We will, because their idea was they wanted me to shift the church and shift the culture of the church, shift the direction. I said, we will try stuff. And some stuff will fail. Some stuff is going to fail gloriously. We are going to try things that have no possibility of success. They are going to fail with guns a-blazing and fireworks. They're going to fail so miserably. And yet, we'll let it go and we'll try something else. I think of a little kid. We have a little, we did a ceremony and they brought their little girl. She's about 18 months old. And this is an Energizer bunny. And she's running and she falls down. And she gets up laughing. And she runs and she falls down. And she gets up laughing. And she's doing this for like 15 minutes. I'm just watching her. She runs into something. She falls down. She gets up laughing. I'm like, man, if that was me, I'd be laying on the ground going, oh, man, I'm never going to get this walking thing done. I'm so bad. I wonder if anybody saw me. Did anybody see me? Oh, no, they saw me. I can't walk again because otherwise, maybe in the privacy of my own home with just mommy and daddy there, I'll try walking, It's like, and she's just like, I don't even know what this failure thing is. I'm just going to run. That was fun. Let's see if we can fall again, So we make up a story, and we can change the story by just changing the narrative slightly. We can raise the veil between us and our God. We can raise that veil and become the hands and feet of God in the world. We can raise that veil. Each moment is a transformative moment when we awaken to it. There is no throwaway moments. Every moment can be that moment where it goes, that's the thing that brought me to a new place of understanding. A friend of mine's wife had gotten into a horrific car accident. They said she would never walk again. About 4 years later, she's walking up to do the meditation at church with like 6-inch spiked heels. Probably wasn't 6-inch, but it's like a Minnesota fish that you lost. It was this big. She's walking up in spiked heels, and somebody says, so it took you 2 years to heal. She said, no, it took me 1 moment to heal. It took me 2 years to convince myself that I could be healed. We can change ourselves in a moment, and we let go of how long that moment takes when we're willing to enter into a different relationship with ourselves, enter into a different story, enter into a different narrative that may change that that was easy for me to say, trajectory. We can engage our shadows, engage our masks, engage all those ways we try to hide from the world. And the last thing I'm going to say, we can use every moment knowing that there is no separation. So anything I see in you, anything I judge in you, any way I hold you as less than, or any way I see you as raised up as a true divine expression of God, is merely a mirror reflecting back to me an aspect of myself. I can only see what's in my consciousness. I was doing a workshop just a couple weeks ago, and we had to do what I trust in you, what I don't trust in you. And then we had to say that to another person, and then repeat it after us. I found it very easy to say what I don't trust in you, and then look at the mirror and go, what I don't trust in you is. I found that very easy. I found it very difficult to say what I trust in you is your willingness to really go for it and then look in the mirror and say, what I trust in you, knowing it was me. I just noticed for myself how easy it is for me to see where I fall short, but not so easy for me to see where I'm expressing my magnificence. And when I noticed that, I was able to say, I can make a different choice there. I can see me for who I am. Not good or bad, just to notice. Life can be changed in an instant. I love you. I bless you. I behold the living presence of God in each of you. Namaste.